one of the things that nobody is talking about right now is inflation. In fact, everybody continues to believe that the disinflationary environment that we've seen for the past, quarter century continues. And, one of our concerns is that, to your point, now everybody's trying to fix something that may not even be this massive crisis. And you've seen the Fed pump in an unprecedented amount of liquidity into the markets. And when you look at velocity, to this point, there's been pretty much an inelastic supply between what's been going on with government supply and monetary and the velocity of money. But we're concerned right now that because the money this time, not like '08 where it went to the banks and you could control it, we're actually concerned right now that this time it's at the end spenders, it's at the consumers, it's at the local governments, and it's at the businesses. And so without, whether it's massive increases in taxes, whether something with postmodern monetary theory comes in to actually control that supply, we think there's going to be a pickup in inflation. And when that happens, we're pretty concerned right now because bonds will break their negative correlation with stocks. And if that starts to happen, and if bonds no longer act as a hedge when stocks fall, we think there's going to be a lot of investment strategies that fail. There's going to be a lot of panic, especially even breaking it down to the end retail consumer level where they won't be prepared for this. And you could see, going back to this whole idea of liquidity in markets dry up as people panic because inflation expectations really haven't lived up to what they thought they would. So pause there.
If I could just add to that, if you have a second. I think
Sure.
The real challenge here, I agree with you. I think the real challenge here is the likelihood is we're going to see deflation before we see inflation. But with all this money in the market, you really have to think about when, because the likelihood is there's going to be a few years of very, very good times with all this liquidity in the market. But at some stage, we got to pay the piper, and making your investment decisions on whether that's 5 years from now, 4 years from now, 10 years from now, you do not want to be holding the baby when that event happens.
So I've been thinking about this, and as a tech person, I know this thing that's called tech debt.